Hey, in your face in high definition is Transformers the show, and we've got a cheeky little look at Iguanus on with a mini show. Over to you, gents.
Yeah, well, what we've got here is on Saturday, I was lucky enough to receive from In-Demand Toys the new Legacy Core Class Iguanus. There's his box. And we didn't really realise, did we? But I certainly didn't realise that it seems like I'm one of very few people to have managed to get hold of this yet, at least in the Western world. So we thought we'd do a bit of a
social
review.
media. Yeah.
Yes. It's kind of, I hate using the phrase blown up because I'm an old man and it sounds weird, but it kind of has on Twitter a little bit. And we've had lots of comments and we've had things shared on some of the websites. And so we thought we'd do a little mini review, and that's what we're going to do here. So we've got some photos, we'll talk through it, and we'll give you a bit of the character. Once was from Generation 1. He was one of the Pretenders. Unfortunately, one of the ones that wasn't actually sold over here in the UK.
Or Japan.
So very difficult to pick up. Or Japan. This is, correct me if I'm wrong here, Jamie, but I think this might be the first genuine kind of homage to that original toy that we've had since then.
Yes, it's definitely a genuine original homage to the original toy. The alt mode, the bike, been very organic, actually, ironically, with the Pretender itself, being a bit more technological looking.
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll kind of just have a look through a few little photos and just show off, kind of both modes for the figure and for its articulation, and then we'll have a little chat at the end of it. So yeah. So the first photo that you've got there is it's in its packaging, as is the way with this new Legacy packaging. There's no plastic front on it, although it was pretty securely in there. Not a massive figure. My wife's initial reaction was £13 for that, but she doesn't understand the love that we have for these little things. I know. She'll learn. And then this photo is just to show really kind of the size and scale, because I don't have a cat. So there, the Power of the Primes Pretenders. You've got Bombburst on the left there, and you've got Submarauder on the right. And you can also see, just because of who's on the shelf, G1, my G1 Bombshell. He's about the same size as that. So yeah, it's a nice little scale. I know people probably will be watching, will be saying, "Oh, I wish it had been a proper, deluxe or Voyager sized Pretender." Well, we all do. But this is a really nice little homage to the character. Hopefully, we'll get more of these. I don't really collect core class either.
Such a beautiful picture as well.
I don't really collect this core class. I know you've got lots of them. In fact, have you got all of them, Jamie, now?
Yes, I do, but I'm just imagining you being in camouflage gear, like something from David Attenborough, taking this ideal shot of his natural environment.
Decepticon Pretenders hanging out in a natural environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
The figure itself has a ton of molded detail on it. I mean, it's all over it. So, yeah, it maybe is a little bit pricey for the size of the thing, but actually, in terms of that and the articulation, I do think it's worth it. And like I say, I don't collect core class, but I really like this little guy. He has a motorbike mode. Now, all right, it's not the greatest motorbike mode in the world. I mean, you can see where his arms and his legs fold round to kind of put it all together. But I think the transformation is quite clever. When you do get hold of this figure and you get a chance to transform it, it is only core class, so it's not too difficult. But there are a few bits where you've got to twist and turn things, and the ankle tilts that we have are really useful, not just for posing it, but for the need.
I think it seems to be something with all the core class figures that all seem to be quite complicated. Well, I would say very involved and almost complicated in how they transform compared to what became before them, like the Legend class.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing the engineering that goes into these now. It really has kind of ramped up a bit. Another photo just to show kind of scale there, with another shelf of bots that I just happen to have around. So you can see him next to some of the recent Micromasters that we had. And then with some deluxe class bots behind him. So yeah, I mean, he is core class. if you're thinking to yourself, oh well, I want a bigger version of this, well, this might not be for you. But yeah, he's a fun little figure. He does come with his weapon, this bizarre little gun, which the instructions show you merge with the weapons from Hot Rod and one other character whose name I can't think of now, and it forms a sword. And there's a picture in the instructions.
It's one of the Seekers
weapon,
and I've forgotten his name.
Is it Skywarp's sword?
I think it's
anyway,
Skywarp. We'll
figure it out. Yeah, because Skywarp doesn't come with his null rays, does he? He comes with something else, and I think it all merges together. He is very poseable because he does have the ankle tilt, so you can get him into a number of poses. He also has waist swivel, which is part of the transformation. The wheels on the back, they don't lock into position, but they hold the position normally pretty well unless you kind of knock them. They're obviously from the alt mode, which again is a little homage to the robot mode of the inner robot, isn't it? Because that had the wheels up behind his shoulders.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine this is really a core class figure when you look at all that detail. This could so easily be upscaled by Hasbro at any time.
I hope they do. I mean, I love, like you say, it's things like the lizard scales that it's got on its legs that you can see there, and on his arms.
This is done with love. That's love.
There's no problems with mine. I mean, nothing pops off particularly. I mean, obviously, if you force it the wrong way, then legs will pop off ball joints, arms will pop off ball joints. But that hasn't happened with mine.
Which is child friendly, really, isn't it? Because
definitely. And you got a better view of that weapon, which has some nice molded detail itself. These little red bits that look like flames, which I do quite like as well. Like I said, he's very easy to kind of pose and balance, so you can get him, in one-legged pose there.
Wow,
he's a lot of fun to mess around with.
Normally, when I do that, this figure falls off.
Yeah, well, you can store the weapon on the back. Because the canopy for the bike folds onto his back, and it's quite neat. There's not a hell of a lot of kind of what I'd call kibble on there, really. It all folds quite nicely down. The weapon can go on there just in the same port that it's in when it's in its vehicle mode. And again, just a couple more photos of that bike mode.
I like that bike mode, actually. It looks like a Cybertronian sort of bike, And
I mean, you can tell it's a robot that's like been folded into it, but actually from certain angles, I do think it looks quite cool.
Yeah, and it's almost pays to the character himself, because he started to consider himself having an affinity with reptiles, didn't he? Once he got that Pretender shell in the comic, he started to think, I have one with reptiles. I have a link with them. So I think it's great to keep this the idea of it when he transforms the bike will still look reptilian in nature.
If you're not familiar with the character, then go back and have a look at the Marvel comics. He features in a few stories towards the later end of that original G1 Marvel run, and he's great. I really like. There's that little there's the one where he's climbing. I'm not sure if it's the Empire State Building, but he's climbing a building like that, isn't he? King Kong style. Yes. Yeah, which I always enjoyed. Yeah, and you can see how the back legs, the legs rather fold back down. You kind of have to twist the bottom part of the legs and then fold them down, but it all clips in. I mean, the wheels are actually on these ball joints, so you can move them around and you can position them, which is quite clever. And then again, you can attach the weapon to the vehicle mode, so you can drive along or ride along and blast people. I know that our good friend our good friend Paul Jamie, he is not a fan of visible hand syndrome, but on these little core class figures, you're not buying something masterpiece. There's always going to be little things. Oh, he joins us like an apparition.
Look really stupid hands.
You love it, Paul. You love it. But yeah,
and the plus point of being an adult collector is that eyesight gets worse. We don't really notice visible hand syndrome so much.
No, it doesn't massively bother me unless they're really like
waving at you.
Unless they're like, basically, it doesn't really bother me that much. But maybe that's just the joys of being a much more relaxed, chug collector than those who go for masterpieces.
With our big hands.
Yes, with our big normal sized hands. Sorry, these are in jokes. If you've not seen our show Transformers the show, then have a watch and you'll understand where we're coming from with all this. So yeah, those are the photos that I have. So I'll just stop sharing for a moment, and hopefully we'll be able to just change the screen back. There we go. Yeah, so he's a really nice little bot. He isn't, as I say, if you're wanting something that's more of an original size for those pretenders, you might be a little bit nonplussed by it, but he's a lovely little thing. I do like his bike mode. It's just a nice little homage to the original Inner Robot alt mode, and it looks really cool. And he's not the most difficult to transform. I'm actually going to do that. I wasn't going to, but I'm quickly transform him just to show his, a fairly simple transformer to transform, and a nice little transformation. Hopefully you can see a little bit of what I'm doing, if not everything. I do wish they wouldn't put the stamp on. The note is probably necessary for identifying things, but it just, when it's on, if it's not visible, if it's on the inside of a leg or something like that, it's not so bad. But when it's kind of more blatant and it's more in your face, it can be a little bit annoying.
Especially since the code is quite massive, isn't it?
Yeah. And this little bit will flip up in a moment. There we go. And then it just folds back onto his back, and we just.
You can tell you've transformed this a good few times already.
Do you know what? I haven't transformed it too many times, really. Just because I prefer the robot mode, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, he's just a nice. We've talked about this before, and I know that friends of the show like Rohan have talked about it as well, and Arrowfire. Sometimes you just want to have a nice, fun little transformation. It's not. Don't get me wrong. These masterpiece bots and all these things. They are wonderful. I mean, they're incredible feats of engineering. But when you sat there for 30 minutes trying to transform something, sometimes you just want to pick something up and have it transformed in seconds, and then you can pop his gun, or his weapon, whatever you want to call it, into his hand. And as I said, it does also plug in on the back there. But yeah,
I don't even have the G1 figure of this. It's something I wish we could have had the opportunity to get in the UK.
If this was available somewhere, if TF Nation or somewhere where we might go, or even TF UK Con, if there was somebody selling one of these, I swear I'd sell the children to raise the money, because the actual bot and everything, and the original Pretender was just a thing of beauty itself as well. And I do think there's so many of our members of our Transformers community now who are kind of more our age, who have developed that appreciation for what the Pretenders actually were. They were probably underappreciated at the time. Kind of got thrown in there a little bit with the Action Masters as being a bit of bit naff, and a bit of the reason why I really can. That is Legacy Core Class Iguanus, and he should be hitting plenty of retail. There's massive pull. He should be hitting retail soon. I know that over here in the UK, In Demand Toys, Kapow, Hasbro Pulse, they've all said they've either got it in or it's coming in kind of like this week. I'm sure a lot of the other.
Well, do you think by the time you have a new line of Transformers in this Legacy range, I know this is the Legacy ranges now, but we'll eventually get a bigger Pretender homage? Because each wave, we started off small, now we've got Core, so are we going to just eventually get to Deluxe, then Voyager?
I hope so. They must be surely looking at this and saying, the amount of, like I say, reviewers and people who are just toy fans, not just Transformers fans, but other toy figure fans, who say the same kind of things all the time about, we really need kind of Pretenders, but done with modern engineering. And yeah, I think we'd all kind of accept it. I guess it's just people who make the decisions about Hasbro, isn't it? I'd love to know though if somewhere there's some grey model of something like this in a Voyager size.
Especially just when you have things like Godzilla and King Kong toys doing quite popular, etc. Hasbro could tap into that with their own monsters.
Yeah, and we've had the Beast Wars figures that have come back through, and it'd be interesting, because obviously they've been popular, especially with those people who grew up with Beast Wars. But it'd be interesting to see how they've gone down. I'm a bit like you, Jamie. I think we preferred those more robotic style beasts to the Beast Wars ones, but you see the benefits of all of it. But yeah, definitely, I'd love to see the Pretenders done. Maybe Voyager class size shells with deluxe, or even I might even accept core class if it was to fit it inside the shell.
But I absolutely love looking. I mean, can I see that figure again? I just think it looks awesome.
There he is. Oh
yeah,
focus. Yeah, I would highly recommend him if you get the chance to get him. I just think he's a really nice little bot. Good fun, looks good on your shelf. And I don't even collect these core classes. I say this is the only one I've bought. This is the only one I've really been motivated to buy, and he's a lovely little bot. Highly recommended. So thank you again to In-Demand Toys, especially for getting it to me so quickly. I think they put up that they were receiving them, and you could still pre-order on like the Tuesday or the Wednesday, and I ordered on the Wednesday. They sent it on the Friday afternoon, or at least that's when I got the notification, and it arrived Saturday morning. So thank you again, In-Demand. That was really good of you. And that's about it, Jamie. That's our review.
That's a review. Thanks.
Awesome sauce. Thank you for that, dudes. If you want to join us on Friday nights at 7 o'clock, we do a live show. We could see your faces there, or head to TF Show UK on Twitter, or head to Facebook and type in Transformers the Show. Join our group. We'll talk to you, mate. Right. See you later. Bye.
Bye.